we've never had before is so many people unemployed. And yet, historically, unemployment is the secret to economic growth. If you look at any industry, when people get displaced, so from 1930, we had 30 million farmers. Think of this number. 1930, the United States had 30 million farmers producing barely enough food. That's why it was a Great Depression for 100 million people. What happened? By 1980, 50 years later, there weren't 30 million farmers. There were only 3 million farmers left. 27 million lost their jobs over 50 years. And you know how much food they produced? Enough for 300 million Americans and exporting to 600 million more. It's a 300 times increase. But notice, it was 50 years for the farmers to get out of work from 1930 to 1980. Some of their kids became makers of a new technology, vinyl records, music. It was before television. And that was wiped out in 5 years by digital CDs. Some of their people became making mechanical carburetors for the automobile industry, wiped out in 1 year by digital fuel injectors, which doubled the mile in every car. What we see now for the first time is that the nets used to take a generation or two. That's why you could no longer, even though your name was Miller or Baker and fit your father's profession, you probably didn't do it because technology changed. But all of a sudden, the net person shows up with a net, and in 1 day, you have 80% unemployment. Economic unemployment, what we call structural unemployment to an economist, structural means structure of the economy, or often technological unemployment, is the first sign of economic growth. Say that with me. I love trying to paraphrase here what David does. Let's say, unemployment is the first sign of economic growth. Unemployment is the first sign of economic growth. Now, out of context, people will say, what did you possibly learn? That sounds ridiculous. But think of it. It's when technology changes and takes away the job, but we as a society still have the output, the fish that was ever being produced by that job. And we grow as an economy when the unemployed person, which is a tremendous resource, every unemployed person is not just a precious person of God we need to treat well. It's someone who, when we work together and get an unemployed person back to work, that's all net increase to GDP that we all share. So unemployment is the first sign of economic growth, provided we don't do things like pay people to stay unemployed. And of course, one of the reasons, if not a major reason, I'm here this weekend is what you do. And what some of you are here to learn what to do is basically bring people nets. You find the people who are unemployed, and you explain with love, affection, and caring, let me show you some way you can jump and produce and become a productive member of the economy. For unemployment is the first sign of economic growth, and it is really painful today. Because none of these companies that produce these unemployed are going out of business. It used to be they closed the plant, you see it in the movies in the 30s, locked the door, no work. Wrong. Today they say the plant has 1,000 people, we're cutting 100 heads. And guess who gets cut? It's no longer cut on a LIFO, last in, first out basis. It used to be cut on, well, you've been here the longest, you get to keep your job, like we do with teachers. But today, most jobs are cut by, I'm sorry, we have to cut 100 out of the 1,000, and you're the least productive. Per year salary, you produce the least, you're fired. So it's really tough to be unemployed when you're unemployed and you have to look back and say, no, they didn't go out of business. All my buddies are still there. They're all still working there and doing great without me. And you have to then finally admit that that's not the kind of net I produce. Let me find the right job, the right opportunity.